you said there were three. Were there any other questions about?
I was going to say, you didn't mention the TV when the Messiah went on.
That's right. In fact, the first year that we did Messiah here, I had done with the Windsor Symphony and the Windsor Classic Chorale, professional choir over there then, and Dick Householder, a performance of Messiah. We did it earlier that December, and that particular production was broadcast nationally over Canadian network TV, and subsequently then was rebroadcast for I think 3 years after that over Canadian network TV. I tried to get a copy of that. That was a very good performance, actually. Fine. Steve Henriksen, my good friend for so many years, was a bass. Roma Riddell, a wonderful soprano who was involved in those early years with Michigan Opera Theater, was a soprano. Eleanor Felver, a wonderful Scotch contralto who sang with us here as one of our soloists. Ultimately, she had cancer. Actually, I was able to inveigle her into singing with us. She wanted to sing, but she didn't feel like her health would enable her to, but she was able to. And that was one of her last performances, actually. But Eleanor sang with us here at Fort Street, and then I did the tenor part. But yeah, we did the network TV thing.
And it featured Milfordine as well.
I'm sorry?
It featured Milfordine very nicely.
Oh, yes, we're talking about, yeah, Miracle on Fort Street,
Yes.
1984. That's what you're talking about. I was thinking, well, when we were preparing to do the 1979 performance, the replay of the Messiah that we had done the week before was on television. So someone brought in a television monitor, and even as we were preparing to go upstairs to do Messiah, we were watching the broadcast that we'd done the week before over in Windsor. I'm sorry, I confused that. But then Miracle on Fort Street certainly was a dramatic good fortune for the chorale and for Fort Street and for me personally. You all know about the Miracle on Fort Street, I'm sure. 1984. The best, it won an Emmy as being the best locally produced documentary, and it also received an Emmy for the best sound for a local documentary. Miracle on Fort Street only emphasized the range of possibilities when groups of people get together with a common purpose and a unified spirit. Any other questions or comments? Or? Yes.
As a new member of the choir, number one, I have to say that I have been very impressed with the way you take these voices, build them, develop the talent, and get a sound from a small group of people that fills our sanctuary. Number two, how can we get a copy of The Miracle on Fort Street so that maybe we could rebroadcast it and let people look here at the church, let people see, like when we were doing the history, that we have a very wonderful history.
Well, actually, The Miracle on Fort Street, that was a professional orchestra that we used. And in order to do that, first of all, there was a grant in the fall of '84. Harvey Oshinsky was a documentarian and in charge of documentaries at WTVS. And Harvey had heard that anybody could sing in our Messiah. And early in the fall, Carl Beidelman, who ended up being the producer of that, came in and called me up and asked if we could talk. He said, you know, we're thinking about doing a documentary on a church choir doing Messiah, and I'd like to talk to you about it. And he said, now, can anybody sing in your choir? And I said, yeah, anybody. You want to join us? that was one of the things that interested me, the fact that anybody could sing in this choir, and that yet we did a professional, a better than average quality of performance, and that we did it with a professional orchestra. That intrigued them. So he said, would you mind if we came in and kind of listened to rehearsals? And I said, no, absolutely. So they came in and sat in on rehearsals for a while, and they decided, Harvey came in, and then Harvey and I and Carl met, and they talked about doing this. They got a grant to do this documentary, which paid for the orchestra costs and subsequent repeats of it. Each time that was repeated, the orchestra had to be paid because of union laws, regulations. Anyway, there are copies of, we can't sell copies because of the union regulations, but I think I have a copy somewhere. I haven't seen it in years. Joe, you have a copy?
I have a copy. I can show it to you anytime. He comes out as a really tough taskmaster. He is tough.
Yeah, they liked that. They wanted. They told me. In fact, I said, "Why do you always play the spots that make me look like such a dictator?" So me, and they said, "Well, we don't want to make it look too easy. It isn't easy, but I mean, we work hard." And God love the chorale. They endure, my request for continuous repeats of the same phrase until we get it right. Singing, is a conditioned response, and it's easy when you sing something and you sing it incorrectly. That establishes the beginnings of a pattern, and if you allow that pattern to continue, it only becomes more deeply ingrained. So it's better to catch mistakes early on. And since anyone can sing in the chorale, the good singers are, God love them, are willing to repeat so that the people who don't read as well or who need more repetition can learn it. So the chorale is a community in which strong singers help those who don't read music and who maybe don't sing as well. It's a community, really. The chorale represents, I think, a successful community in action. Everyone gives for the common good. The strong help the weak, and we all benefit because there's a synergy born, I think, in successful communities of people working together. The chorale, I think, exemplifies that. It's unfortunate that we can't get bigger communities to work together with the same care and love that the chorale does, and that Fort Street does. This is a very loving community, and again, I feel so blessed to be here.